Hello again, viewers, and now the Smurf we're going to expose is someone called Sog. Sog, we checked in the AO2 ranking system, and he currently has 915 elo at the time I make this video, with, guess what, almost 50% win rate. So evident sign that he probably already is a Smurf. 637 wins, 658 losses. So loss and win rates are almost exact. A difference of like 21 games. So that's the difference between his win and loss ratio, and it's massive. It's not that massive, I mean. And he has 49.19 win rate. So that amounts to 50% win rate. So for me already, it smells a Smurf big time. So let's load the game. Let's load the game and we'll see that this guy Smurfs. Look, the abusive hotkeys used in the paths. So the scout pathing, I call this the scout pathing. The abusive scout pathing using sheep. All the sheep are already scouting. He's only using one sheep for the TC instead of massing them to the town center. And the rest, 2 sheep are scouting. 2 sheep scouting. Tell me this is not an 800 elo player without telling me this is not 800 elo player. Now this is already a sign that you're not playing an 800 elo player. Let's keep looking. Okay, what's the second hotkey? Seville.
Si. Vosotros.
And that's for the Ville. Right, this still makes some sense. Gets the house and only goes. He goes for the sheep. So far, no complaints. The wood camp. Goes for the boar. Goes for the second boar. Still acceptable. He houses. Right, at this time, I knew I had been smurfed in the previous game. I was angry, of course, and that influences also the outcome, because it's also a problem I want to point out. No game is separated from its previous one when you're smurfed, because if you already have been smurfed in the previous game or massively smurfed, you already feel like upset. And the next game, you already are starting with that kind of conditioning. You're not starting on a neutral point. And you have to continue to fight because it's the only way out. Probably the next game, you find a Smurf that is fresh or you find a player that is fresh. So it's complicated. Just have to take these notes into account because the player's skill is also influenced by the kind of games he has been getting. He goes for the mill near that area. If he decides to make 3 mills, he's a Smurf. For the gold mines. Fast feuding. 10 villagers on the fishing. On fishing, I mean. I age faster, but it means nothing because he has more vills, you know? Yeah, he does. So I was Mayans. Could be making what, archers? But this is the game I actually played on the 2nd. Yeah, December the 2nd. Now I remember. Just a few hours ago. Still is in feudal age. And at this time, I think I got my scout here and decided to kind of like delay stable because I was a non-cav civ. So anything to deny cav civ is good. Of course, I could not ultimately deny his thing. Second mill. Second mill. This guy, Smurf. Now he's 950, but he was not 950 at the time we're playing. It was like 800 something. So it's like he's going up and down intentionally because his win-lose rate is very close and similar. Like he probably wins a few, then he loses a few intentionally. The second mill is a sign of potential smurfing. A second mill near the fishing spot. That's something to have in mind. Continues to farm. Got my scouts. He finishes the eagle. He decides to go for a raid, but then I have my spears. He has to cancel the raid. I get back to fishing. And he goes to Castle H. Meanwhile, I already almost was Castle H, but guess what? My intention here was to make mine archers. For that, I would need wood and gold. I had very little wood and very little gold. And this guy decided just to race the heck out of me. Because I was like stone mining like there was no tomorrow. And I had to because the point was to get my castle up and running. Maybe the solution would have been to go to a TC instead of going directly to a castle. But then look, he would come with knights and that would be a problem. That would be a risk to take. He was scout rushing me. And I still had a spear there. I secured my vills. And here I thought, okay, I denied a lot of his scouts. He lost a lot of food. But he was still well on the way to Castle H. Okay. Strange. He went for a TC as soon as he got to Castle H. And with the wood on site. Like he placed the gather point on wood. That's strange. He goes for the knights. Husbandry. He wants to attack with knights. Okay, here I did make the castle. He came with knights, but it was already too late for him. Or so I thought. Here he was housed, and I thought I'd be catching up. Still, he had more vills than me. Here, I was just in a bad spot. So I lost a bit more vills because of this. Meanwhile, he was continuing to farm. He lost his cavalry, but he continued the straight push. Third mill. Like, what kind of person would, what kind of normal 800 elo player would make a third mill? Mill, everything around. This guy's a professional. So for me, this is a sign that he's a Smurf. The third mill near the fishing spots. I understand that you go for the fishing spots until like feudal or early castle, but from then on, you understand that it can become a tricky and dangerous place to fish. Still, he doesn't mind. He goes for those places. Like I was instead going for farms, but he still decided to go for fishing. So it was kind of like horrible for me. Next. Let's see if he goes for every single relic already. We'll check that monk. There's already a first rally. So the relic race is something strange too. I'm sure he's going for after every relic here. Not sure he just goes for one. Let's see if he actually went for more. Yes. Second relic. Did he went for a third? Not yet. But you can see already that he's racing for the relics. First relic, second relic. Now that's not an 800 elo player. I still did not even have time to make the monastery. I still didn't have time to have enough wood, and this guy was just echoing everything. You saw that? A second monk. And I bet you that he's probably going for all the remaining relics. We'll see. No, maybe not. What took place? I mean, there's... No, he did not win. The second monk is going for the second relic. No, they have no more relics in sight. Meanwhile, I tried to use my plums in the horrible state they are. I have 2 TCs, but this guy already has 3 TCs. So he decided to go for TC Boom instead of Castle Age. But you know, as Mayans, Mesoamerican Civ, I could not go for three TCs and then Castle because he has cavalry. He would go with those cavalry units. I needed some castle to make those plume archers, which are fast enough to move around. The problem was he made those TCs, and I could not move around with my Mayan archers well. It was very complicated. I tried to deny his fish, but he already had knights, and I did not have enough echo for spears and for plume archers. Then you'll see he's probably going for every single relic in the map. No, but let's go for the rest. Yeah, now he goes. He's relic obsessed. So he has the first relic already. He goes for the he's coming with the second relic, and he's going for the third relic. And maybe for the fourth too. No. Here I have pikes. But it's kind of like useless. He decides to make a tower. I can't do anything. Then he's going for Burgundian Cavaliers. Even worse. So it's like a Mesoamerican civ without cavalry is forced to fight an Imperial Age cavalry unit. Oof. It was already so difficult. And this guy was a professional. The score difference already told it.
See, fortsatt har fått service. I know det.
3 monks. He went for every single relic.
Fortsatt har fått service. I know det.
Here I tried to deny some of his vills, but still he has a comfortable lead on vills. A lot more food than me. I have more wood, but I mean it's kind of like useless. I could be making archers, true. But then came the skirms, and something will come next. Okay, now this is another strange sign. The barrier of houses. An 800 elo player doing a barrier of houses. This is a sign of a Smurf. He's doing a wall of houses. So he's echo walling his base, a side of his base, with houses. It's strange because like I didn't even think on echo walling, and this guy already echo walls. I don't say stupid, of course. He knows what he's doing because those were vulnerable parts and he wanted to protect the wood lines. But still, it's a giveaway that he's not a very hydro player. He uses the Cavaliers. He tries to rush around. He tries to control just every little resource in the map. Kills me a Vil. But he still has Villager Elite. And meanwhile,
See,
he already has 3 relics,
fortsatt.
and possibly going for a 4th.
I know det. See,
No, he did not thought of the relics, the rest of the relics. But still he has lots of gold. I had much less gold. Very complicated. Here, it did one thing. He walled this side to make sure that I could not get in. That's why, this is another sign of something strange. First, he walled these 2 houses, and then here. So it's like echo walling and echo defending, and a quick echo walling, I call it. To echo wall, to use the houses as a way to shield yourself is a strange thing. But to use an echo wall of perfect housing is strange. And worse, when you use a quick echo wall as an emergency defense, you're probably a professional. You're not an 800 elo player. Like, I do this, but maybe not as accurately as this guy did. So, not an 800 elo player. And goes the castle drop. I tried to deny his castle drop by building a castle in its place. But then I thought, I can't fight this. I tried to make a castle, but my villagers got stuck in between this, and that's why they started to build it late. Then I decided to resign on this. If I told you that this game is impossible, this guy never responded. So this also was a sign that he was a Smurf, because when he was called, when asked about being a Smurf, or when questioned about if he was a Smurf, excuse me, when questioned about Smurfing, um, he denied. He did not even respond. So it's the self-confessory sign again. A Smurf will tendentiously not even acknowledge or respond when you question him that if he's Smurfing. He pretends that you don't exist and like downplaying you, so that it is a way to bully you, so that if he downplays you, he can get away with it. But he doesn't get away with it because you call him. And here I resigned because like I knew I was facing a Smurf. I decided to quit. So 7 signs besides the yellow that this guy was a Smurf, of course, and you can see the major echo and military difference. Something was very wrong in this game. Look, he explored almost every corner of the map. Doesn't that ring you strange? That's an 8 sign. Almost entire map exploration. He explored the entire map. 98%. You want more? 99%? 100%? So it's insane. So the signs that this guy smurfed, to recap: the scout abused pathing in the beginning, where the 2 sheep started scouting straight away. Uh, the second meal that came quickly after the first meal in the fishing spot. Immediate TCs on the castle age. That in itself does not mean you're smurfing. But combined with the rest, you'll see that it is a proof or an indice that you're smurfing. The third, you're using he made a third meal near fishing spots. So he made a total of 3 meals near each other, like an industrial production to minimize the time to get to food. Again, signs of a professional player, not an 800 elo player. Fourth, the relic race. In itself, going for the relics does not make you a Smurf, but a Smurf will go for the relics as fast as possible. And this guy
Afot
collected
servis.
3 relics. I could have gotten more, but like I was being hammered by cavalry. Did not have time to think a lot. And the game was very fast paced. I realized this. Like 36 minutes. I'm used to a bit longer games. Um, Fifth sign. This echo walling. Strange. Very strange. Arabia style. Sounds like a guy that played hundreds of times this map. And the quick echo walling he made with these houses on this side and these houses there, because I came with the plume archers and he quickly walled it. Seventh sign, when questioned about smurfing, he didn't respond, like dismissing me. And like the thing is, when someone asks you if you're smurfing or nah, you're smurfing. If you're not smurfing, you automatically should say no, no, I'm not smurfing. Like a smurf will lie. He will either say that he's smurfing, he will either lie, or he will not even respond to you because he's been caught. That's just a proof that he's smurfing. And he almost had explored the entire map. 98%. What? 98% versus 58%? Like, I understand I had Mesoamerican Civ. I will not explore as quickly or as fast. But to have 98% of the map explored, it's an abuse. So yeah, this guy was a smurf. How big of a smurf? That's, I don't even know. But he was a smurf. We just provided the evidence. Then you can write your comments, whatever. Uh, I supply the evidence. It is clean. It is true. It is clear as daylight. And I think that this guy just rigged the game. That's it. Next Smurf.